This is the fourth Sunday of Advent, and so we light all of the candles. For hope, for peace, for joy, and for love. My friend Ben does this thing every winter where he takes some time, and it's often when his wife Kelly is away, to live like a pre-industrial person. He comes home from work, he's an anesthesiologist, he comes home from work and he doesn't turn on any lights and he doesn't use any devices. And so it's dark and he prepares his meal or whatever, and then he lights candles and little lanterns all over the house. He reads by candlelight, and then he falls asleep. I guess after blowing out all the candles, let's hope. Now I feel like I need to look in on Ben while Kelly is gone. And the whole point is that he's never has the electrical light coming in, and he says that he says it's like so amazing how relaxed I get. My body just feels like it's melting, and then I read a little bit, and then I just go to bed, and it's really, really early, and I sleep, and I wake up, and I'm completely refreshed in a way that I almost never am any other time of year. So he does this for like a couple of weeks in the winter. I wanted to tell you about it because it's really fascinating, and it may be something that you might want to try even just for a night or two. I think I'm going to try it between Christmas and the New Year. See how I do. I wanted to ask you to think about what kind of calendar you use in your home or on your devices. Because I bet everybody has calendars, right? Is there anybody that isn't using a calendar at all in your life? So I took an inventory recently, and I have calendars on my phone that I would be really lost without. I can view my days in a weekly grid of appointments or as little items recorded in tiny, tiny font in the traditional box of the monthly calendar view. At home, I have an academic planner in my study, a wall calendar in my bathroom upstairs. Downstairs, I have a small calendar on my desk in the living room, and then another large wall calendar on the fridge where I tend to keep track of animal medications and vet appointments, things like that. All of these calendars are depicted as boxes or grids. The week starts on Monday, and the weekends are Saturday and Sunday, of course. And it's always a really big score for ministers when we find a wall calendar that gives, or a desk calendar that gives equal space to Saturday and Sunday, because we need a lot of space on Sunday for everything that we tend to have going on that day. So it's boxes and it's grids, the week marching along in a line. For this reason, I also like to get myself a wheel of the year calendar every year. It's usually like a poster. And the one I got for 2022 is by a woman named Karam, and I actually posted a link for that on the church Facebook page because some of you might say, well, I want to see that. It shows the year in planting seasons, in lunar cycles, and earth-based celebrations like Yule and Ostara and Beltane and Lammastide. The artist has also named the seasons according to their spiritual work: to accept, to will, to dare, to rest, to be silent, to resonate, and so on. And those are her interpretations of the spiritual work of the year. In indigenous cultures, including indigenous American cultures in the Western Hemisphere, time is cyclical, and the wheel, not the grid, is the visual representation of that. I I know that time waits for no man or woman, but the sense that time marches on in a linear way is only real for me. It's only real for us because we've inherited that concept as part of our culture. What feels more whole and organic and good to your spirit when you reflect on that idea? Are you someone who prefers to see time as a line stretching before you? Or do you feel more connected to the idea of the wheel, with each year or season as part of a life that circles back for another round and then hopefully another? I really like my orderly calendars. I'm comforted by those boxes in a row with their appointments lined out for each day. And I get great joy unwrapping a new calendar at the end of December and seeing all that fresh white on the dates. So much possibility. But I also really love that wheel of the year, the cycle and the return, another trip around the sun, the repetition of it, the familiarity of it. Shabby. The toilet leaks sewage down into the dining room. Of course, they can't see that, but we can see it. The walls bubble with who knows what, mold or structural damage. There are cockroaches. And the light bulbs keep burning out, suggesting electrical failure. And of course, suggesting also metaphorically that this family is in the dark. The thing is, nothing particularly dramatic happens in this film, and I'm sorry there are some spoilers here, but I still think you should see it if you haven't. It's just like most family gatherings. People hang out in different rooms. The furniture hasn't arrived yet, so everything is pretty open and empty. They've got some folding chairs and tables up. And they bicker, and they eat food, and they talk, and they laugh, and they gouge each other's feelings with casual insults and failure to really listen to each other. This realism led many viewers to give The Humans a low rating on Google. The most boring movie ever made, somebody commented, and that was kind of typical the last time I checked. But those people are wrong. They missed a lot. A lot happens. What happens in this movie is what happens all the time in family gatherings. Casual cruelty, generational abuse, but so low-key that it might just go right past you. Killing of enthusiasm, both subtle and overt insults, undermining, drinking to excess to numb emotions and vulnerability. Most of all, just a constant, chronic missing of opportunities to really hear each other and to express simple support or compassion. There's a bit there, but if you watch carefully, what you'll hear is that the characters who behave sympathetically for a moment actually aren't really present to each other. They're just kind of muttering comforting phrases that they've learned by rote. And it just pierces your heart. All along, because this is family, the characters do their best, I guess. They say things like, "Family is everything," and "I'm so grateful to you." And we can tell they mean it. And we, watching, may realize the common human tragedy that this is, to love and need one another and do such a poor job of living as though we mean it. The movie is shot like a horror film. And after a while, you stop expecting jump scares and come to realize that, the horror is actually just how toxic our supposedly loving relationships can really be. So it really works on you that way. There isn't a happy ending. There isn't a particularly unhappy ending either. The father, in the penultimate moment, winds up alone in the darkness. So you remember all those burnt out light bulbs, right? He's drunk and paranoid, suffering a panic attack as he imagines a neighbor's clanging up the stairs with a grocery cart to be a kind of monster invasion. The only threat, of course, is in his mind, in his foibles and failures, and in his fears. So it is much of the time with all of us. We fear and resist the darkness and what it might have to teach. We give in to alarms of the heart and the imagination, even when it's ordinary, cruel human behavior that's probably the scariest thing in our immediate vicinity. Thus it is that humans all need salvation stories and need to return again and again over the same seasons and cycles. With each turn around that familiar round, we have a chance to do it a little bit better, with a little bit more grace and wisdom. Let there be light, and let there be love.